Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism is the sponsor of our episode today. Warm temps and fresh seafood make the Alabama Gulf Coast the perfect beach destination for your family vacation, couples getaway, outdoor adventure, meetings, conferences, and conventions. Mark Berte, Executive Director at the Alabama Coastal Foundation, is our guest today on the podcast. Mark has served as the Alabama Coastal Foundation's Executive Director since 2011, and we're going to learn how he was drawn to the foundation through its vital mission of protecting the Alabama coast through cooperation, education, and participation. Mark, it is a pleasure to have you on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It is truly an honor to be with y'all.
Well, I thank you for that. And I really totally appreciate Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism, especially Easton Colvin, for helping to set these interviews up. And this to you as an executive director, I know how busy you folks are. And really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. And let's get right into this. I mean, tell us a little bit about the Alabama Coastal Foundation. How did it start, and what got you kind of pinpointed, like, this is an organization I think I'd like to become a part of?
Absolutely. Well, it actually, we're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. 30 years ago, people were getting together and they said, hey, there's not really a group out there in coastal Alabama that is focusing on bringing people together, whether that's individuals, whether that's from the private sector or the governmental sector, and try to address different issues. So the founding board members said, hey, Chesapeake Bay Foundation is doing a really good job. So we basically modeled our organization off of what the great work they were doing up in that part of the country. And ACF was formed, and I was actually 11 years ago when I was applying for the job. My predecessor, I even asked her, I said, should I even apply for this? Because I don't have the science background. She's like, Mark, they're looking for somebody just like you, which I didn't realize she was being sincere about that. They were looking for somebody who has the nonprofit management side of things and who can ask very simple questions of staff and board members, so that when I'm out talking in the public, I could say, yes, I can answer that question only because I know I've learned it from one of my staff members.
Fantastic. Now, 30th anniversary, that is quite a milestone. 30 years is a long time, but at some point, what caused this need for this foundation? Were things just kind of out of hand, people doing whatever they wanted? What was the reasoning behind this?
And so our logo is the osprey. And as you know from Rachel Carlson, the scientist who did the study about DDT effects, the Silent Spring was her book written, and it was a game changer for people around the world. But several people here in Alabama said, yes, we back in the 50s and 60s were using that substance to treat it as fertilizer. And then when the Rachel Carlson, another scientist, said, hey, these osprey that used to be making so much beautiful noise during nesting season, it was silent. And it was because they figured that the osprey were basically eating the fish that were eating the DDT that was run off from the farmlands. And so we, the people, we, the humans, created the problem, but we were also part of the solution. So that's what we said. There are enough issues out here, so let's try to get together and try to figure out what we can do in a nonpartisan lens. And can I tell you how most important it is today, today's world, to say we actually do have different things that conservative and progressive people can agree on. And it's the reason, once you visit here, by the way, Howard, I don't think you'll want to go back. It is a really beautiful part of the world. I've lived in Austin, Texas, and Seattle and other places, and just good parts of the country. But Alabama really does have something very special and some pretty good food to boot. So.
And it's funny, as we're chatting, I'm thinking, gee, I wonder if he can recommend a real estate broker, but we'll talk about that later. And of course, the food. I mean, this I am so excited to get down there, not only for the scenery, because as a photographer, as a member of the Outdoor Writers Association of America, which we'll talk a little bit about in a minute, but the nature, the open spaces, fresh air. I mean, it's a wonderful place, and I kicked myself in the butt 30 some years ago when I didn't head down there. But I do also recognize, and you brought up the politics. I was going to kind of bring it in just a little bit because the solutions and the issues that an organization like the Alabama Coastal Foundation are working on, these require bipartisan commitments and agreements and working together. And I wish that model would extend out to a lot of other things. And so I appreciate you bringing that up. So thank you. If we could circle back just a little bit, one, you don't have the full accent that I was expecting. So so where did you grow up, and what was kind of real briefly your career trajectory that led you into the foundation?
So I grew up in north part of the state, so I still should have a good y'all in me every now and then. I think you missed it when I said welcome everybody, but I'm sure your listeners did pick it up pretty quickly.
Okay.
So I lived in the north part of Alabama, which really Alabama has five different systems areas that is almost mimics the country in terms of coastline and wiregrass, and we have mountains, so not as large as other ones, but my love of the environment was when I went to church camp at Camp Sumatonga,
Okay.
and north in Gallup, Alabama, at the foothill of or at the foot of Chandler Mountain. But as a matter of fact, when you drive into the campground, there's a sign that says, "Let no one say to your shame that this was a place of beauty before you came." And so the camp director, Dinah Reeves, who had been there for 48 years, saw me picking up trash around the chicker bowl. There you go. I could talk Southern right now, but
There you go.
and so she basically asked if I would be willing to run for the mid-high trash representative. I was like, I don't know what that is, but then I had two trash representatives. I'm sure. And from that point forward, I really did just the outdoors, and there was a beautiful lake there and different trails to hike. And that's kind of where I fell in love with the outdoors.
Okay. Now, when you fell in love with the outdoors, had you had mentors, members of the family, fathers, uncles, grandparents who took you out, took your, whether you have siblings, took y'all out, y'all, there you go, uh, out to explore and get you in a moment of being able to appreciate that there's life beyond the pavement.
Absolutely. And I actually remember part of my interview 11 years ago for my job. I remember sharing a story when I was 5 years old, looking at the Gulf of Mexico, sitting on the back steps of a rental place with my father, who basically we saw the lightning strike in the Gulf and counted the numbers, 1.5 seconds per miles away.
Oh
So
yeah.
it was, and that's been literally a family tradition every summer. He worked in higher education, is retired at this point, but every year we go as a family to the beach. And my wife, who when we got married, she was like, "Oh, y'all really do know how to enjoy the beach, like literally to the last drip of sun setting over the Gulf of Mexico." Which again, I know for people who are listening here, if you've been down here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a very very special place, and the beach. I've been to different beaches around the country, and the beaches here with the fine sand is just fantastic. So.
Very good. Now, your background in the show notes, I actually not the show notes. I was going through the website. That's how I do my research. You also had a master of public administration, so you and I are like second cousins in a way. Not first
Absolutely.
cousins, perhaps, but second cousins. So, what prompted you to go down this political or public administration path?
Well, when I was in college, I was educate. I mean, excuse me, an English major
Okay.
with a philosophy and political science minors.
Okay.
And my person in college who was my favorite political science professor, I was suggesting that I might go into law, and he's like, "Well, why don't you think about all the different opportunities out there?" And so public policy. I guess the big thing with the LBJ School of Public Affairs is that we don't practice laws, we make them.
Right.
So that was the fun tagline there. But yes, and again, for nonprofit world, as long as you're being nonpartisan, you can engage the public. And as a matter of fact, if you're not doing that about different issues, you're not providing a good value for the donors' money to provide your services. So it's all about not only direct service, but also about how you can advocate in advance of the mission.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the mission of the Alabama Coastal Foundation. 30 years. Well, you shared a little bit about what was the aha moment, so to speak. What is the mission of the foundation today? What are you all working on?
So the mission today is to improve and protect our coastal environment, and we do that through cooperation, education, and participation. When we say cooperation, that means we work with individuals, we work with, again, other nonprofit groups out there, the governmental sector, whether that's local, state, or federal, private sector, small business, big industry. We don't care who you are, where you live, what a political affiliation you have. As long as you're going to do something positive for our coastal environment, we're going to work with you. One of my board members 10 years ago came up with the phrase inclusive environmental stewardship, and we've been using that ever since. And yeah, you were mentioning the aha moment. I know all the people talking about effective altruism. I'm like, yeah, we've been doing that from day one, and that's why our donors really do. They invest their time as well as their money into the supporting the organization. So education wise, we have K through 12 education programs that engage use all the science and facts that are out there. We base all of our stuff, what the teachers are supposed to be teaching in terms of the course objectives. But then we also adult education too. So professional development for realtors and lawyers who need our wetland compliance workshop, for example, what you can and cannot do with wetland. But we do education. We actually have a free program called Coastal IQ that is on our website for any of your listeners who want to learn a little bit about coastal environment. There are 12 different topics, and they can test their knowledge at the beginner, intermediate, or advanced level for different things that they would learn about the coastal environment before they come. And we have even information about what to do when you are here to make sure whatever footprint you're putting on here is a very light one, so that others can enjoy it living on. So again, cooperation is where you get the awareness, education is where you get the understanding, and then the participation part of our mission is really where we shine. We give meaningful volunteer experiences for people. And there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. We have 3 full-time staff, 1 part-time, and 15 contractors to make that as a good experience. But 90% of the work that gets done at the Coastal Foundation is because of our volunteers. So for every dollar that we get, we have $2 worth of volunteer contribution on top of that. So our volunteer opportunities, you can plant trees, see oats. We do a lot of our volunteers do our education programs. So we have lots of different ways for people to plug in.
I'm thinking there's another compelling reason to get down there full time is I can volunteer and lose a little bit more weight. I love that. So a couple of things I'm curious about. The word coastal. Now, I learned from Commissioner Blankenship that in the Alabama Department of Natural Resources, that Alabama has some of the most diverse waterways in this state in comparison to the rest of the country. So when you say the word coastal in the title, are we talking coasts throughout the state, or are we talking just within the white sands of the Gulf Shore?
Howard, that is a great question. And I know Commissioner Chris Blankenship will be our speaker, I guess, about when the podcast is delivered. He'll be our Green Drink speaker in Mobile on August the 16th. Alabama has 2 coastal counties. ACF, we became a statewide organization in 2012 because whatever happens upstream eventually makes its way down here. The birds and the fish, they don't really care about political boundaries either. And I think the Mobile Bay watershed we're the fourth largest estuary in the country. As a matter of fact, our state seal has rivers. There's no other state in the country that has more aquatic diversity of life than we do here in Alabama. There's no other place on the planet that has more turtle diversity than we do in mussels and other as well. So your people who would come and visit, they're here to look at birds. They're look at that we have sea turtles. We have a lot of different things, wildlife that people can enjoy, and really understand what Alabama's really all about.
Sure. Now, as far as actually, before I ask this question about that and the education you're providing, from looking at the site, I'm seeing the donation button up in the header. Is this an entirely donation driven organization? I imagine you also apply for the many grants at the state and federal level, local level.
Right. So we do our website, joinacf.org, is where people can go to contribute, which as a nonprofit organization, a 501c3,
Mhm.
people get a tax write-off, businesses get a tax write-off. So we do receive our revenues from individuals, from businesses, from foundations. But yes, we do have funding resources, contract with the state to run the Share the Beach Sea Turtle Conservation Program, which it was a 3-year commitment that we extended into 5 different seasons, just because as a nonprofit, you have to be very frugal
Yeah.
with the resources out there. So we were able to do the work successfully for this is the 5th season that we've been able to run the Share the Beach program, Sea Turtle State Conservation Program.
Okay. And as far as the education programs, people could come into the website, they can look at your volunteer opportunities. What are some of the opportunities, whether, let's say, for young kids who are just becoming aware beyond the parents taking them to the swimming hole, the fishing hole, et cetera, going out hiking, biking? What are the education programs to help instantiate this awareness of conservation, stewardship, and leave no trace, so to speak?
Right. Our middle school program called Estuary Core, which is a summer program that we run. We get them out on kayaks to experience the beautiful and diverse wildlife that we have here in coastal Alabama. But we also run the our Livable Communities Coalition, which gets people throughout the year to walk or to bike. And we have once a year we have a fairly large Good Life bicycle ride where the conference will be at the lodge at Gulf State Park is where we ride right into that. And so the more people we get out on the water, on bicycles, on kayaks, and on the different outside paths, the more they'll want to protect it, and to appreciate it too. So that's our motto is again inclusive environmental stewardship. So we're trying to draw everybody out, especially people who don't have the resources to get out and enjoy it on a regular basis.
Okay. And what is the organization of the foundation, and what types of, you mentioned you've got a very small staff and you've got the contractors that you work with, but what are the variety of the initiatives, say beyond I mean, the turtles, that's like numero uno from what I'm coming to realize is the protection of them. But what are some of the other initiatives that really bring home the point of the work of the foundation?
Absolutely. Well, so just for example, our Share the Beach Sea Turtle Conservation Program, we have a director, but then that director has team leaders, and then those team leaders are over the volunteers. So we'll have 400 people involved with that one program alone. And our sea turtle nesting seasons from May 1st through end of October.
Mhm.
And I know again with the conference coming up, we actually have Turtle Fest on September 9th and 10th
Oh, wow.
right there at the pier at the Gulf State Park. So they can come and interview our Share the Beach director, Sarah Johnson, and learn a little bit about our sea turtles there. Anyway, we have, even though the season's May through October, we do our education programs throughout the school year. And then We have a great board and a very large advisory council, including Jimbo Metter, who y'all know in terms of taking people out into the Delta. Ben Rains, who is one of our advisory council members. We just have a very large swath of fantastic people who contribute their time, again, on top of what the paid staff are able to do. And so our three full-time and one part-time, and we have interns who serve throughout the year. We do a lot of work to make sure other people have good experiences. So it's a lot of behind the scenes servant leadership
Mhm.
opportunities to behind the scenes to make sure that the fullest amount of people can be engaged at whatever part of the environment they find most interesting, including our oyster shell recycling program. No, we were talking earlier about that.
Sure. Something is it really comes across as you were just sharing is the small staff, and then you rattle off a couple names familiar to me, though. While I can't pinpoint it, it really stresses the importance of networking at the local, county, state, federal level, and if there's an initiative that needs to get work done, whether if it's not you or your staff, it's the networking that really helps to bring all of this home.
It's the relationship that you build. It's the reason that cooperation is the first of our three
Yeah.
items mentioned. So
Yeah. Very good. And what's the exciting part about that networking or just you getting out of your office and going out and into the community? What really kind of puts an extra skip in your step?
every chance I get on the water, it makes me a happy person. And the people I've mentioned who've taken us, our staff members out of the Delta for the last decade. We've been around for 30 years, and I've served as executive director for our third of the time. But I have met and some of the most interesting people who have done the hard work in advance of learning what it is that here in Alabama, so that once people talk about it, we used to have so many oysters in Mobile Bay that we dredged 80 years ago, and now we're trying to build those back. So it's the historical view that looks forward
Mhm.
for the next 30 years, next 3 decades to make it make a positive impact.
Fantastic. Now, let's talk a little bit about the 30th anniversary of the foundation. What are some of the activities, events that are going to be tied into this kind of a celebration? It's a big deal. 30 years, that's a big deal. That's a
It's a
career.
big deal. So, and again, for we partner with different seafood restaurants, part of our oyster shell recycling program. We also work with breweries to get, again, to have good products for them to sell. You have to have good, clean water. And so that's a natural fit. So we'll be at Big Beach Brewing August 24th as a big a free outreach event for anybody to join us. We also have, again, Turtle Fest. We have Bird Fest that's partnered with a different organization, but we try to educate people about that in October. So there's usually something happening throughout the year. Our Cocktails for the Coast, which is at one of our oyster shell recycling programs, restaurants. That's November 10th. So we have lots of different places for people to plug in. But on our website, joinacf.org, the 30th logo, once you click that, you can see all the different videos of people who've been involved with the Coastal Foundation for the last 30 years, talking about the past, but also, again, looking forward to the future. So people can learn about us from not just from here yet from the executive director, but from other people who've been involved and engaged with our work over that period of time.
Fantastic. And I am excited that there's going to be some events down there when I arrive early part of September. So I am curious. Now I know Commissioner Blankenship is going to be speaking. Hopefully, get a chance to meet some of his others on his team, yourself perhaps. At least I hope you're going to be down
Yes,
there,
of
right?
course, of
Okay.
course.
What's just telling me, by the way, and I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to edit this out. I needed to go back through our program because it keeps getting updated of what's going to be happening, and so I'm getting down there about 3 days early, just so I can take it all in, enjoy myself, and then stay a day later. So
That
I
is
may
a
have
smart strategy. And then you could look for the home when you're there as well, the
there,
properties.
there you go. I'll get an appointment with with a broker. But so the Outdoor Writers OWAA, it's our annual conference coming up in September. What should we expect, or how should we prepare ourselves for the experience, and hopefully to keep an eye out and ear out for some of the takeaways?
So literally on our homepage, we have information for coastal visitors. Y'all are the people that we want to make sure to know how to operate professionally on our coastline. And so we have lots of different things, and some of them are literally life saving in terms of rip currents, what to do if you're caught in one. And so there are things that we have on our website, the current riptide conditions. So you could check us out for that. But our sea turtle nesting season, again, from May through October, we're trying to, the people who come down here, we want to make sure that they understand that these are federally protected species, that, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to see them try to make their way to the ocean, to the Gulf of Mexico. And we have Share the Beach sea turtle flashlights that are made from mag instruments that people can purchase on our website, so that you don't disorient sea turtles as they're heading their way to the Gulf of Mexico, making their way to the journey. And we have 3 different species of sea turtles here that nest in Alabama. So we have a lot of interesting things that I think that the riders would be able to learn and to express to other people outside about what we have here in coastal Alabama.
Fantastic. Now, one question I didn't ask you at the onset: are you in the Gulf Shores area, or are you up in Montgomery somewhere? Where are you located?
So we have 2 coastal counties, and ACF was founded in Fairhope, which is in Baldwin County.
Okay.
We moved across the bay to Mobile, which
Okay.
is the larger population wise
Okay.
of the counties. And then I live in city of Mobile. My wife's a professor at Spring Hill College, so it's a
Okay.
little easier for her of a commute. But
Okay.
I always say that I've got staff members in both coastal counties, and we basically can get to Dolphin Island, with the Barrier Island here, or to Port Morgan, or the Gulf Shores, and Orange Beach. So we have lots of different coastal cleanup in different areas around the both coastal counties. And so we try to encourage volunteers to get to all the different sites that are led out there.
Very good. And unlike the Southwest where I live in Las Vegas, getting around those areas, it's not like a huge day trip. Maybe it's a couple hours, an hour or so.
So again, the city of Mobile is about 15 minutes away from the Delta. So it is a drive, an easy drive. And again, 45 minutes from a barrier island, from Dolphin Island, which
Okay.
is a beautiful, beautiful place, have beautiful sunset. So again, if you might want to come a full week in advance instead of 3 days, just put that out there. There's a lot of food to sample as well. So you have to add that in, and I'll have a biking regimen for you just in case. We'll double make sure the intake is addressed accordingly. So
Something I think I may be holding you to that. By the way, you're a true executive director of a nonprofit. You are seeding. You're doing a bullseye on seeding right now. So I appreciate that.
one of my advisory council members is Beth Gindler, who is the person who is helping to fund this effort, but also the other one is the director of the coastal of Visit Mobile. So
Okay.
Mobile County's he's also on my advisory council. So we want to draw people here to have a great time, and also to let other people know, so that they can take the footprint as light as you can, but also to as enjoyable as you can. So,
Fantastic. Now I am curious, speaking of family, when you are not busy doing the day-to-day administrivia work, and I'm sure you get out there for the events, and because you're the executive director, you've got to be present. But when you have a chance to unwind with the family, what are your go-to activities?
I can tell you, we will be going to the beach next Wednesday with my daughters and my wife. So it is It is something that I not only love as a job, and we don't pay for the mileage on the trip. I don't count it for research, but I'll be taking a vacation day, to go do that. And so we have, up in the north part of the state as well. I've got some family members who have a place at the Lake Martin, so I'll be doing that. So yeah, there are plenty of places for us to, paddleboard and to, ski and to hike around in the state.
Okay. When I lived in Montgomery, I do recall Lake Martin was the place everybody went to on the weekends.
It's right between Alexander City and Auburn. So yes, all right, Montgomery's not too far. We have to pass through Montgomery, obviously, to get there. So,
Very good. Now, a couple things I am curious about was, in my mind, the most important thing. I mean, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, but what I'm really interested in is food recommendation, which my question is then, what are your go-tos for really good Southern cooking? What's your go-to down there?
you can go to our website and support any one of the restaurants participating in our oyster shell recycling program and have a fantastic meal, knowing that you're supporting a business that is actually supporting the environment. So we do not. That's one of the things. Again, cooperation. I can list about 50 of them, and most of them are up on our website. So recommendations are free, and I can help. Again, when you're down here, I'll make sure to take you to a couple of those, just so you'll see what I'm talking about. That it's the truth as well. So
That's good. You are so politically astute. It is unbelievable. I mean,
well, it's the master's program, right? And
I'm telling
that's
you,
what.
I don't think I learned. I don't recall what my grades were, but I think your grades might have been a little higher than mine.
No.
And so, if you were to kind of think back, Mark, in your career and the work that you've done, and working with the foundation for these last 11 or so years, what's been your aha moment as you look back and you say, wow, I can't believe I get to do this?
Well, I will point back to the facts that working in a collaborative sense is really the what you had said in terms of, yes, you might differ on different views, but if you can actually get around the same table and have that same long-term relationship, you can do a lot of good things. The thing that I'm probably looking forward to the most is the underwater forest,
Mm,
which is going to be protected, a part of the National Marine Sanctuary System. We've been pushing this for 6 years. This is the thing. If your listeners would like to do something positive for coastal Alabama for not only this year, but also for the next foreseeable future, we have legislation to literally in Congress right now to protect Alabama's underwater forest, a part of the National Marine Sanctuary System. We have Democrats and Republicans supporting it, so they can have their congressperson to co-sponsor that, so that once the long as the government does not officially shut down, but once the vote actually happens that later this fall, that we'll be able to protect that. And it's a great thing, not only for the environment, it protects that fossilized forest that had been around for 60,000 years. It'll also help to help our economy with the different scuba divers who'll be coming down and looking at that natural reef. And we do have a free documentary. Ben Rain, one of our, I mentioned him earlier. He made a documentary, a 26 documentary minute documentary on a website. We've got that posted. He's done other things about picture print bogs and other fantastic things as well. So lots of things to point to on our website. But that's my once you realize that there are people who do care about something other than their political perspectives, that's that's my aha. So
very good. Very good. And I have to say, the underwater forest and the pitcher plant bogs, those are two that are on my radar as okay. I need to figure out how to incorporate that into the time down there. Hopefully, it's a part of our programming in the conference, but that's definitely something to think about on my bookending my activity. So I appreciate that. One last question, and this is you've come up through the political science, major in public administration, now a leader of a nonprofit for these many years. What would be your insight to go if you were to have a speaking engagement, say at a school, high school, or even college for that matter, somebody's trying to figure out, what am I going to do for my career? What do I want to do? What would be your insight to them, given your experience? What would the insight, the advice to them be?
Right. Well, I would certainly say Joseph Campbell had the "Follow Your Bliss." Bill Moyers highlighted his work many decades ago. But I'll also point back to my dad, who every single day that my two sisters and younger brother walked out the door, he would say, "Love you and be a leader and a helper." And my two daughters have that ingrained as well. And when I hire and have interns, that's one of the servant leadership aspect is one of the things that I really do look at. It's you're as you can lead only as far as the connections you have and relationships you have with other people, and other people need help too. So you are it's be a leader and a helper. I will say is my the thing that I like to make sure people know that it's both and it's not just one. So.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. It's truly a gift to our listeners. The last item before we head out, if our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, and especially my colleagues or peers, I should say, at the Outdoor Writers Association of America, if they want to learn more about the organization, where are the best places for them to go?
Truly our website, which is joinacf.org, and that's ACF stands for Alabama Coastal Foundation, or you can just Google it. We should be the top thing that's there. We actually have trademarked Share the Beach as well. So you can search for us that way and see the sea turtle information. But we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So all of that is at Alabama Coastal, and you'll find us that way if you like social media instead.
Very good. Well, we'll provide the backlinks to the website and to the social sites as well. Mark, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. And again, a big thanks to Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism, my friend Easton Colvin, for making this connection for us. And I'm excited to hear more about the organization's mission. I hope I get to meet you. You're going to give me the bike and the destination for the food. Okay, that's good.
After food, exactly. Bike after food.
Bike
I
after
will definitely do that.
Gotcha. And I look forward to that, and really just taking the time to share about the great work that your organization is doing. And yeah, what I love about the podcast, what I love about the series is we get to really dive into what's going on in a community. And it's very evident to me, there's a lot going on, and the folks throughout the state and especially in the Gulf Shores have a lot to be proud of. So thanks for being a part of that big share today.
I really do appreciate it. And there's a lot going on because there are a lot of great people working at it. And you are now counted one of those, Howard. So thank you for this opportunity to speak with everybody and just really appreciate that.
My pleasure. Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a quick close and you and I can have a final chat. Okay.
Very good.
All right. Okay, folks, we have just been chatting with Mark Berte, Executive Director at the Alabama Coastal Foundation. Really a wide-ranging bits of topic and insight education today. We learned about Mark's background, why the Coastal Foundation, 30 years. They're now celebrating their 30-year anniversary. We know what led to the foundation being created. We were learning today about their mission and some of the great activities that are going on today. And really just, if you're coming down to the Gulf Coast, do check out their website at joinacf.org. Lots of great information on the website. And Mark was not kidding. Whether you're coming down here for the first time or this is a repeat visit, lots of great resources, not only in activities, food, but also as he was saying, servant leadership. A lot of people go on holidays and servant leadership is a part of that holiday mission. And so this is a great way for you to get involved. And to my peers at the Outdoor Writers Association of America, if you haven't made that decision to come down to the conference, I think Mark, again, he's really pretty good at the seeding and marketing. So he gets an A+ there. I can't think of a better reason why you shouldn't come down, because there's going to be a lot of activities and education and insight for you than to go on and create good content. Now, again, I want to thank Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism for sponsoring this episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series and introducing us to Mark. To begin planning your beach vacation, getaway, or outing, visit Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism's website at gulfshores.com. As for us, you can find us on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. We are also on LinkedIn and Facebook. We have the Outdoor Adventure Series pages, and you can listen to this episode wherever you get your podcast from. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day, and we look forward to having you for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.